everyone, and welcome to the Liberty Show. I'm anti-oligarchy, and this is Ron Senkush. Today we're going to start off the show with a quote from Ron Paul, and it was on the Ron Paul Institute for Peace and Prosperity, and it's very relevant to what's happening right now. If Americans were honest with themselves, they would acknowledge that the republic is no more. We now live in a police state. If we do not recognize and resist this development, freedom and prosperity for all Americans will continue to deteriorate. All liberties in America are under siege. What do you think about that?
Yeah, Ron Paul issues a strong warning here, and there are many reasons for it, and here's a story that kind of dovetails into that I wanted to share with you a little bit. This happened in Iowa City, Iowa. I'm going to read a little bit about it from the article. An Iowa widow is charged with a crime and had nearly $19,000 seized from her bank after depositing her late husband's legally earned money in a way that evaded federal reporting requirements. So Janet Malone, 68, of Dubuque, is facing civil and criminal proceedings under a law intended to help investigators track large sums of cash tied to criminal activity, such as drug trafficking and terrorism. But some members of Congress and libertarian groups have complained that the IRS and federal prosecutors are unfairly using it against ordinary people who deposit lawfully obtained money in increments below $10,000. At issue is a law requiring banks to report deposits of more than $10,000 cash to the federal government. Anyone who breaks deposits into increments below that level to avoid the requirement is committing a crime known as structuring, whether their money is legal or not. So what we have here is a bypass around the Fourth Amendment. Basically what's happening is it's not the government doing the spying. They have mandated it down to private institutions, to banks who are doing it for them, right?
Well, and actually I can speak to this as well. The government is basically having the bank tellers do the dirty work for them. And it's interesting what kind of culture this promotes, because at a bank, generally, you cash checks or you deposit some money or you make withdrawals, it depends on the day. If it's Friday, here's my paycheck, I want cash. Monday, I need to deposit. It's pretty cut and dry. Unfortunately, with this type of activity, they're encouraging the bank people to be suspicious of everyone. If you happen to come into quite a bit of money, great for you, good luck, more power to you, but good luck when you go to try and deposit and you get very strange looks. You get suspicious activity reports filed, which is kind of the sister report to this one. And it promotes a culture of distrust, snitching, reporting on somebody. As a matter of fact, one of the tellers that I know has come right out and stated that everyone is guilty until proven innocent.
The exact opposite of what the Constitution says and what our law says. Yeah. But in this particular case here, I'm going to skip down to the details where I can find it here in the article. So essentially, her husband had passed away, and he left a briefcase containing $180,000 cash that he had earned, from his job as a publisher and through other various legal means through his life. Apparently, I'm sort of reading between lines and maybe making a couple of guesses here about what happened in this case. It sounds like maybe the guy didn't really trust the bank very much. And I had some relatives of mine in the past who lived through the Great Depression and lived through some bank failures and actually saw some of these kinds of things happen in their lifetime, who were not trusting of banks. They literally hid all of their wealth and possessions somewhere in their house or buried it in the lawn or a combination of these things, and they would never put one dime in a bank. And so, whether or not you trust a bank or believe them, I mean, it certainly shouldn't be criminal not to. Right? It shouldn't be mandated that you have to deposit your wealth into a bank, right? I mean, if you want to keep it around in your yard or under your mattress or hide it in the fridge or whatever you want to do with it, it's yours, right?
Well, yeah, and it's your money. Right?
So he passed away, right?
Yeah.
And then his poor widowed wife is probably apprehensive to hold the $180,000 cash in the home, right? And she had a different idea. She started making deposits, smaller deposits, into the bank to try to get it in there without taking it all in at one time, which was her prerogative, right? Doesn't really seem like a crime, does it?
It's not supposed to be.
Not supposed to be a crime. So what they did was they raised the flag because she kept making these deposits, and so then they actually charged her with a violation of this law that was basically saying she was trying to deceive someone, excuse me, by not making this all in one giant deposit.
Yeah, and that is the correct term. That they do call it structuring.
Yeah.
And generally they had it in place, of course, thanks to our lovely Patriot Act, which is not patriotic at all, is put in place for drug trafficking and terrorism activities, and all it does is make it difficult for the real people to conduct business. It slows it all down. It's similar to when they took cold medicine that actually worked off the drugstore shelves, because people might make meth out of it, or they might do something like that, which is ridiculous, because then what about the regular people who really just have a bad cold?
Yeah.
And it's an obvious infringement on your Fourth Amendment.
So these are the types of things that we talk about on the Liberty Show and try to bring to light and show you that, bills that were designed to get the bad guys, don't always get the bad guys. They sometimes get the completely innocent who are doing absolutely nothing wrong at all and are not harming anyone in any way, shape, or form, like this poor lady. So we cover a variety of topics. We cover a variety of issues. Some of these, the idea is maybe one of them you'll relate to. Maybe this will be the topic that makes you say, wait a minute, that's wrong, or they did what? And so these are the types of things we cover on the Liberty Show to open your eyes and show examples of perhaps well-intended law going astray at best, or perhaps ill-intended law from the start. That's up for you to decide. But anyway, that's pretty much that case right there.
And this segues very nicely into the next video that we are going to show you from Mike Maloney. And if that's it from that one?
Let's go ahead and roll the video. We'll take a break. Be back here in a little bit.
The next segment in our report is Government Out of Control, and this is a topic that personally affected me. Back in September of last year, our bank requested all of our financials and a whole bunch of the transactions that we do. And when we asked why, because they had never asked for these things, they said they were assessing the risk of doing business with us. And about a month after that, we had a specialist in our office to give our employees training on anti-money laundering. It's called AML training, anti-money laundering. And we have to do that once or twice a year to keep all of our employees licensed and updated on all of the latest techniques to spot money laundering. And we told him, I don't know how the subject came up, but we told him about the bank requesting all of this stuff, and he goes, oh yeah, that's Operation Chokepoint, blah, blah, blah. All of the precious metals dealers are being investigated on this, blah, 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 and it's the U.S. government. And I was shocked. And then I started Googling this, and I was even more shocked. The first thing that came up was I looked at Wikipedia's page on Operation Chokepoint, and what this is It's the executive branch, the Obama administration, has put pressure. They've picked out whole industries that they just decided that they don't like. And they've skipped due process. They bypassed the legislative branch, Congress, and they bypassed the judicial branch, the Supreme Court, and they went to the Department of Justice and they put pressure on them, Eric Holder, to pressure the banks by using the Department of Justice, the Treasury, and the Internal Revenue Service to make banks' life hell if they don't comply with this. And what they were trying to do, it's called Operation Chokepoint, because what they're trying to do is choke off the financial air that businesses need to survive. And they just pick out businesses, and they have the banks shut them down by terminating their relationship with the bank. They close their checking account, they close their merchant account, so they don't have access to, they're not taking the business to court. They're not proving that the business was doing anything illegal. They're just shutting them down by making sure that they don't have access to the financial system. And so if you go to, just do a search engine search on Operation Chokepoint, take a look at the Wikipedia page, and I'm going to take a look right now and read you the list of some of the businesses that they've targeted. Ammunition sales, cable box descramblers, coin dealers, credit card schemes, credit repair services, dating services. They decided they don't like dating services, and so they've decided they want to shut them down. Debt consolidation, drug paraphernalia, escort services, firearms sales, fireworks sales, get-rich products, government grants, home-based charities, lifetime guarantees, lifetime membership, lottery sales, mailing lists and personal info, money transfer networks, online gambling, payday loans, pharmaceutical sales, Ponzi schemes, pornography, pyramid-type sales, racist materials, surveillance equipment, telemarketing, tobacco sales, and travel clubs. The administration just decided they do not like these businesses and that they want them shut down, and they skipped due process. And the third one of these was coin dealers. I fall in that category. So the bank investigated us, and we passed with flying colors. We run a super clean business, and we have less disputes, chargebacks, and stopped checks and things like that than most dry cleaners or grocery stores, just because we don't take cash and we don't deal in any numismatics. We only deal in bullion-type products. But this affected me personally. There's an article that accompanies this. It's posted below this video. And so please read that article. There's something happening in the United States, and we need to reverse the course of what is going on, because what I see is dangerous. Now, personally, I take great offense at this because they've just lumped coin dealers in with drug paraphernalia, pornography, and racist materials. This is something that is evil, that is going on. The Patriot Act that was passed after 9/11 has created an imperial presidency where the president gets to act as an emperor and pass almost any law that he wants and bypass Congress to do things like start wars, and now to shut down any business that they want. And this is the way, when you want, I never really cared for guns, although I did eventually just a few years ago buy some guns, and I've got ammo. But ammunition sales and firearms sales are in here, along with precious metals. When there is civil unrest, they don't want people to be able to buy guns and ammo. This is how they're going to keep you from doing it. When the financial system starts to melt down and they have to defend the dollar, they're going to keep you from buying gold, and this is the way they're going to do it. You're not going to be able to buy gold because a bunch of the dealers that sell gold, they're going to try and put out of business. And ending any business's relationship with a bank And cutting off all access to the financial system is the way that they can do this. And there's no due process, as I said. This is blatantly illegal, immoral, and corrupt. They've lumped everybody together and they've judged them and they are executing them without due process. These are trends that we really must reverse. As I said in our last episode, when I was a kid, we were the good guys. The United States was basically the hero of the world. And we are slowly becoming this evil empire, and it really, really gets me. I mean, it hurts. As Edward Abbey said, a patriot must always be ready to defend his country against his government.
Okay, welcome back. That was quite a video. You could tell that Mike Maloney was, I would say, visibly upset by what happened to him. It obviously affected him personally, and kind of goes along with what we were discussing prior to that video as well.
Yeah, I'm really troubled by the list, that list of businesses. I mean, first of all, I'm troubled by the entire process, really. Anytime you're going to start targeting industries and using the banks to control them, to shut them down, and basically alienate or make enemies out of particular businesses is troubling. But even more so troubling than that is look at some of these businesses that they have decided to target, right? And the old Sesame Street thing, some of these things are not like the other, right?
Yeah.
look at some of these. So you're lumping in ammunition sales, coin dealers, dating services, tobacco sales, telemarketing, travel clubs, with things like racist materials, with Ponzi schemes, with escort services, drug paraphernalia. I mean, so it may be somewhat difficult for the average run-of-the-mill U.S. citizen to be sympathetic or to defend the liberties of things that you may turn your nose up at. If you're not a fan of drug use, if you're not a fan of escort services, I mean, it's easy for us to kind of alienate these businesses or look the other way if the government infringes on them. I'm not saying you should. I certainly am troubled by it. But it's one thing for the average American to see the government cracking down on that and basically say, well, that's just the government, doing what's right or what's moral, right? But how do you reconcile that with these other industries like travel clubs, like coin dealers, ammunition sales? These are all legitimate, real businesses that are not immoral or traditionally viewed as immoral.
Right.
And
furthermore, it goes all the way back to free speech.
Exactly.
At what point, you personally may find pornographic material, dating services, and escort services objectionable. That's fine. That's your belief.
Absolutely.
You are entitled to that belief. Great. All right. However, there are people who have a legitimate business doing those activities, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few people who participate in that business, whether you like it or not. And they are free to do so.
That's right.
And that's really kind of the key of this whole thing, is that this list was selected by the government. They just handpicked businesses, industries that they didn't like. And who are they?
In particular, the executive branch did it
Yes.
without Congress even passing a law.
Right.
Right, so you had no say-so in this. The average Joe American didn't vote for somebody who, went into Congress and argued that this should be a law. It didn't go through the formal process. This is just a policy enacted from the executive branch.
Well, and furthermore, there's a lot of people, the average Joe Blow American, is not going to know that this is even going on.
Exactly, because you're certainly not going to hear it on the nightly news.
Right. Unless you are a participant either in the banking industry
right.
or in one of these other industries.
So what I'd like to do, anti-oligarchy, is peel the onion back a little bit and take a look at the possible reasons why they're doing this and what they're really after, you have to really ask yourself, what are the reasons? Why are you really doing this? And this is really coming down to being control issues. It's coming down to the taxation is getting so bad and so high that people are trying to find ways to circumnavigate it. And so the government certainly isn't going to tolerate any loss of revenue. Okay? Sure. So they're paranoid that people are trying to dodge the system. People are trying to dodge the system because it's way too oppressive and way too high. And so it reminds me of that Star Wars quote: the tighter you close your fist, the more are going to slip through your fingers. This is what's happening. And so this is a reaction to that by the government, where they've got to get control. They've got to make sure you're not dodging a few dollars that didn't come through the tax system.
Right.
They've got to make sure that they can punish you or make an example out of you, so that they can haul you to jail, so that they can scare your neighbor into paying his taxes, or making sure that he doesn't try to sneak a few dollars off to the side. And then they pick these specific industries as the place to target those kinds of folks.
Well, and you also notice that these particular industries are very, for the most part, except for a couple of them, are very controversial.
Yeah.
It's very easy for someone to say, I am for or against racist materials.
Right.
To pick a side, if you will. Whereas what Mike Maloney was discussing was he's into precious metals, a coin dealer, specifically in the bullion aspect of it, not like commemorative coins and that kind of thing, but an actual silver and gold dealer. And you ask yourself, well, that doesn't seem like it would be, how on earth would they be lumped in with pornographers? And so it's disturbing, because what you're getting here is a list where they want to polarize people, but they want to slip in their own agenda as well. And ultimately, yes, it's the revenue, the taxes, but ultimately, on top of all that, it's about control.
It is. It's about control, and it's about going to them to get permission to play. You know what I mean? They will stand in, as the final arbiter, deciding whether or not you're going to be able to do business or not, depending on if you're in compliance, right? And so, I think some of this ties back to, with money, with resources come opportunities, come choices. The more resources you personally own, the more opportunities you have to choose where you live and how you live, right? And so, for instance, if you thought this country became oppressive and you wanted to move out and go to another place, you'd need, the resources to pull that off, right? And so, if they can keep you from gathering those resources, then they can keep you from leaving, and they can keep you in control. It sort of reminds me about the time Ron Paul talked about building the border fences or whatever, and basically acknowledging, sure, if we really put enough resources, we could control the border. We could put machine gun turrets every 20 yards or whatever, and we could solidly put up border control. But he reminds us that border control works both directions, right? Yeah. That it's not just to keep people out, but someday they may turn those things around and keep you from leaving. And so be careful what you wish for sometimes, because you just might get it. And so anyway, I think that's some of the other underlying disturbing parts about this. And it also reminds me of the often misquoted quote from Germany, which I'm not going to get right again, that basically talks about when the Germans took their rise to power, they targeted certain people, and the saying was, well, I wasn't one of them. I think it was first they came for the communists, and I wasn't a communist, so I didn't say anything, and then they came for the trade union people, and I wasn't a trade unionist, so I didn't say anything, and then they came for me, and there was no one left to help me defend me, because I didn't stand up for the other folks. So, maybe you're not a fan of credit repair services or lottery sales or lifetime membership businesses. But you know what? If you're not going to stand up and say it's not right for you to target these people like that, who's going to stop them from targeting you and your business or the place you work for and put you out of business? And these are the kinds of things that we're, again, trying to cover on the Liberty Show, to open your eyes, take a look, and reconsider.
And with that, we are going to segue into a special message from our very own Anonymous.
Back after this.
The people have awakened to the fact that there is no difference between the Republican and Democratic parties. This phony left-right paradigm has enabled America to become a fascist police state. Both parties believe in big government, and each election cycle, they battle to become our rulers. While each party suffers losses each election, the powers that be, their puppet masters, always win. We have a protest plan next election day. We are planning a 1 million man and a 1 million woman vote for libertarian candidates across the country. That's 2 million votes for candidates that believe in personal liberty and the non-aggression principle. If there is not a libertarian candidate, we will place one. No longer can we sit in silence as we lose our liberties to the war on drugs, the war on terror, the war on privacy, the war on our income, and the overall war against the American people by big government collectivists. We will become active in local and national politics. We will be elected to school boards, county, state, and national offices. Once in office, we will repeal unconstitutional laws and leave you alone. Our Constitution must be followed, and we the people must become involved to ensure it is. It is time for the left and right to join forces to protect our liberty. Read my lips. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forget. Vote libertarian.
Okay, welcome back from the message from Anonymous. I'd like to say that Bun E. Carlos was not actually involved in the production of that segment. So on our next show, we're going to discuss some possible solutions of a way to slow down and reverse the assault on our liberties that we talk about here on the show. And so I'm looking forward to that. And it's been a pleasure to have you. And let's see, what else do we have?
And last but definitely not least, please visit the lpin.org website. This is a great place to learn more about what libertarianism is. Educate yourself. If some of these things, we touch on a lot of topics in the show, and we try to reach people that might have a hot button, and they're all going to be different. But that's a place to actually get it straight from the horse's mouth, what the party stands for. There's ways to become involved. Remembering that voting Democrat or Republican is not, it's not only more of the same, but it makes everything worse. You have another option here. Vote liberty and vote libertarian.
We'll see you on the next show. Thanks for coming.